Good evening. This is Beaty-Coffey of the Ministry of Uncover No More. This is a candle I'm simply burning down just because I felt led to do so. I enjoy every taper that I use to read books and study, and I hope that you have habits like that too, because I'm also keeping an eye on media. And I'm usually terrified, and it's been that way for many years now, and yet we are still here, and I think it is important for me to remind myself of that. And to choose not to be devastated for my children, that freedom is not what has really happened in this country. Though I will say there are less human rights, murderous human rights violations, perhaps, in this country. Anyway, I am doing a section of Adrienne Rich's book, The Fact of a Door Frame, Poems Selected and New, 1950 to 1984. And she has a whole book of poetry, The Necessities of Life. And this section is from Necessities of Life, and I felt led to work through this section in December of 2024. And then again, I came back to it 27th of June, 2025. So I am going to complete this work. And the reason that this section from Necessities of Life is something that caught my eye right now is because it was written in 1966. I'd probably like to get the whole of the book someday. And indeed, I chose Thursaz, the 21st rune, in the Ralph H. Bloom runes. And as a matter of fact, the book that I have of my handwriting for quotes of Adrienne Rich's poetry, because she was a very real civil rights activist, primarily for women, all ages and all types of sexuality. And Thursaz is giving me a message that says this rune strengthens your ability to wait. And I guess approaching 60, that will be what I do for the rest of my life. But I'm not going to wait in a fog of dismay. I'm not going to do that. I am someone who channels emotion straight out of people, into people, and it's exhausting. The amount of attack privately that people are unleashing on one another is an abomination to me. That makes no sense, and I'm actually having to help my partner. My partner's having to help me just drop it because the loss is very severe and nobody cares. There's this numbness about real life that is growing in our society in these 50 states. Adrienne Rich writes of it very, very well. I am a student of T.S. Eliot's works as well, in that I keep reading his poetry. I'll go back to it. And I will say that his is a broader view and is from England, of course, more. It is more English. And Adrienne Rich is point blank American perspective. And so I resonate with her poetry, which was written as I was growing up. I was born and growing up, and a little before. So it's relevant to the now, and she does talk about the numbness. It has grown, and it continues to grow, and I'm not going to be dismayed by it. I'm just not a part of this generation's ways of fostering relationships. I am not a part of your ways, and I've never been, and I've never, ever gotten along with anything of groups. And I can remember that my dad was much this way. My mom was actually very strange, and I know why now, as far as being very strange to me, because there was a control mechanism in my Protestant upbringing that's hard for most people to understand. And then when I, quote unquote, had emotional problems, it wasn't emotional, it was a spiritual thing, metamorphosis going on that nobody wants anything to do with. That has known me. It's perplexing, but at the same time, I do believe and know that what I'm experiencing is not uncommon to anyone. And I just don't want to be that way. When I meet you, I want you to know I care. That's really the basis of my life, is it's like I know the potential of relationships. I know our potential, and it's not that we're not meeting my expectations. It's that there's this constant crying out. What is happening that we're so numb? And I'm not even sure when this quote unquote emotional disease began. But I know it has broken my heart time and again, and I must not allow it to do that to me. In the same understanding of what I see and am experiencing, I must not allow myself to become it in my worlds. Ever. It's vitriolic to me what you're doing to yourselves. So I'm going to still stand outside of it, do my part in forgiveness of myself and others, and keep moving. That's all I know today. But evidently in December of 2024, I knew I was going to need to deal with this, because she was writing this, contemplating it in 1966 when I was born, and it does mean a great deal to me. It is teaching me things, this section of poetry, though I don't know what it is. And then right after this, well, not right after this, but soon after this, I will be picking T.S. Eliot up again, because I have one of his major works, I've already gone through 4 quartets and The Wasteland, both of which have changed me forever for the good. Adrienne Rich is changing me forever for the good, which means if I write poetry again, which I will, I've stopped painting now, which means all the ugliness of the real, what people term mental illness that I know isn't, because of my spirituality, is real. My spiritual metaphysical power is real. And so there's a dichotomy of birth that is a chasm of suffering that I now stand on the other side of the shore of, as I had to, as it were, get in a boat, and it's tears, blood, and water. What do you bring forth when you birth a child? I certainly know, after having done it 9 out of 10 times that way. The flesh and blood of us flows between these 2 shores that I see. And I've gone to the other side, which means I know that I have the determination to keep the beauty. And I worked tirelessly since, I think it's since Y2K, but the real issues where I looked emotional, where I looked mentally off, or toxic, or mentally ill, or whatever you guys want to call it. I've certainly had a lot of labels put on me. Oh God. That was 2008, September, which is Michaelmas. And a few other things line up with September. I just so happened to, my 4th child was born in September, and I just so happened to give her my middle name, which probably at this point I would think that nobody appreciates that too much. I don't feel like I have a family anymore. We're so disjointed, I need to walk off of it. And I kept saying that, and I can't do it. And that's what I'm talking about. I have a determination in my spirit that won't ever go away. But what I need to do is learn to live with it in peace. And that is why I'm going back. I now have 3 distinct places of study in my home, and I'm going to make sure that many days a week I am at those 3 stations and that I am studying, because I need to. I've got to reconstruct my spirit, because I refuse to deconstruct the beauty of my family. So I feel like I'm the only person that holds the beautiful memory of it. And I've been attacked by family members for years. So there's no going back in the flesh. But that doesn't mean that I didn't establish something in the spirit that we will all appreciate someday on the other side, or even in our future. I don't really know about that, and I don't want to put expectations on any people, and I feel like people felt like I was just putting expectations on them when I wasn't. I know about healing. I know about healing our spirits, and I know that after a certain length of time, it's impossible to do, and so the destruction is complete of the relationships. And indeed, I have many relationships that are completely destroyed at this point, and I'm relieved of duty. I don't ever want to be relieved of love, but I have hated love before because of people's arrogance and stubbornness. I haven't healed from that yet. I do not thank you for your treatment of me. So, from Necessities of Life by Adrienne Rich, some portions, was written in 1966, and there is my guide, the 21st rune, in the Magdala Gateway. This rune strengthens your ability to wait. So now perhaps you can understand before I read one of the poems that I now wait for the rest of my life. For the other side, though, I need to move on with who I do have in my life that are beautiful. They are all beautiful behind me that I'm walking off of. Let me be clear about that. I insisted on that rod of iron in my spirit. Their beauty cannot be with mine, though. And it was devastating to me, if not to them. But it is true that even on the other side of this life, I don't ever want to see them again. And when you do that to someone like me, an archangel, I think you should question your soul. And I think you should learn to use your free will better than that over the rest of your life. I think you should want me to change my opinion, because I certainly worked for you to change yours. Necessities of Life. Piece by piece I seem to re-enter the world I first began. A small fixed dot. Still see that old myself. A dark blue thumbtack. Pushed into the scene, a hard little head protruding from the pointillist's buzz and bloom. After a time, the dot begins to ooze. Certain heats melted. Now I was hurriedly blurring into ranges of burnt red, burning green. Whole biographies swam up and swallowed me like Jonah. Jonah! I was Wittgenstein, Mary Wollstonecraft, the soul of Louis Jouvet, dead in a blown-up photograph. Till, wolfed almost to shreds, I learned to make myself unappetizing, scaly as a dry bulb thrown into a cellar. I used myself, let nothing use me, like being on a private dole, sometimes more like kneading bricks in Egypt. What life was there was mine, now and again to lay one hand on a warm brick and touch the sun's ghost with economical joy, now and again to name over the bare necessities. So much for those days. Soon, practice may make me middling perfect. I'll dare inhabit the world, trenchant in motion as an eel, solid as a cabbage head. I have invitations. A curl of mist steams upward from a field, visible as my breath. Houses along a road stand waiting, like old women knitting, breathless, to tell their tales. Which was written in 1962. This is Beaty-Coffey of the Ministry of Uncovered No More.